Hey, it's Rebecca Smith from the KBIA newsroom in Columbia, and it's time for Missouri Health Talks, a project where we listen in on Missourians' conversations about access to health care. As the saying goes, nature and fresh air can sometimes be the best medicine. Steve Buback is a natural history biologist for the Missouri Department of Conservation and spends most of his days outdoors, dealing with various rare plants, insects, and birds. So, Steve spoke about how exposure to nature can impact people's mental and physical health. Here's Steve.
As someone who works outdoors, if I'm in the office for even 5 days straight, it starts to really grind on me. I can tell a noticeable difference in my emotional health. And I think that's true for everyone, but not everyone has the same recourse that I do, where my job brings me outdoors. Here in Columbia, we're relatively lucky to have a really good park system with a lot of trails, with a lot of wooded areas where people can go and experience that. Even if you don't have a car or even a bicycle, you can still get to these areas and experience them and start to lower your blood pressure, start to bring your attention back to the world around you instead of maybe what's happening across the globe or in Washington, D.C. or what have you. It really brings you back to a local place. When you're in nature, it's up to us to engage. You can go to any natural area and find things that you don't know what they are. You can very quickly become exposed to new things. There's always a sense of adventure out there. There's a sense of excitement because it is new, because it even changes, the way you look at things. Your gaze indoors is limited to 10, 20 feet, depending on the size of the room. You go out, to some of the bluffs overlooking the Missouri River at Eagle Bluffs Conservation Area, and you can see for miles. And your eyes, don't always have that long focus. So even just being outdoors has a way of changing your perception. And, as you really get into a forest or a prairie, and if your mind is open to exploring the world that's there, there's things that demand your attention up close, from the, extremely small ants building anthills to long-term vistas. It's just a much broader perception than we often get inside our houses.
And why do you think it's important that people kind of, take the time to recenter themselves in that way?
I guess, there's physical and mental benefits just to relaxing, to disengaging. It's deeply rooted in Eastern cultures, and, a lot of the forest bathing practices are coming out of Japan, where it's been far more well studied than here. But, they are demonstrating that, nature time can lower your blood pressure, it can decrease anxiety symptoms, it can decrease depression symptoms, it can decrease anger. And, we are also, right now, after coming out of 2 years of pandemic, mental health is probably worse than it's ever been. And we also saw over the last 2 years far more interest in people getting outdoors. When people were confined to their houses for weeks on end, everybody was looking for a way to get out. Right. And I think that has been, one of the silver linings of this is that it's re-engaged people with the world, their immediate world around them.
That was Steve Buback speaking about how being in nature can impact someone's physical and mental health, and a little bit about how the pandemic has shifted some people's relationship with the outdoors. That's it for this week's Missouri Health Talks, which was reported and produced by Sophie Zeman. Tune in next week for more conversations from throughout the state about health and access. I'm Rebecca Smith. Thanks for listening.